So as one of the few content creators invited out to 2K to play Borderlands for early, and I was able to play Vex and Rafa, and on this video I want to kind of show off everything that Vex has within her tree, all of her action skills, all the augments, all the capstones, everything, so you have a good idea of how to build this character before launch. Now we might eventually get, you know, a full clickable tree before launch, but I wanted to just like show this off since this is going to be like some of the earliest gameplay footage you have of everything that is involved with this tree. I'm also going to be creating a document below. Again, it's going to be just kind of a in general document that anyone can like look at real fast and get at least the basic description. It's not going to be fancy or anything, but at least be something that people can use and benefit from. If you enjoy this video, please give myself a follow over on YouTube and Twitter at Byrdman778. Give a thumbs up on this video. Let me know something you're interested in seeing down below. Consider becoming a member to the channel. But yeah, let's talk about Vex. So the way I'm going to do this is essentially go through each of the trees, kind of give it in general idea of what you can expect, and give an augment and a capstone that I think would be a good combination together. Now, the way these trees are built out, I think you're really going to have to heavily invest into one tree rather than kind of what you did back in Borderlands, you know, pretty much Borderlands 1 through 3, where you could kind of like mix and match each of them. These capstones are going to be a big game-changing part of your build, so it is going to be something you're going to have to make sure you invest all the way into. Now, obviously, you can just kind of beeline and only select the skills that are necessary just to get down to that if you want to use whatever your extra skill points are on those other trees. But I would personally say, just from what I'm looking at, you would do a lot better by just kind of at least intentionally focusing on doing one tree. Now, something new and unique to all the Vault Hunters is a new Vault Hunter trait. For Vex, this is going to say Vex is attuned to the elemental type of her current gun, converting all action skill and melee damage into that type. This is actually really awesome just because it's a new part of kind of like the build crafting and all that aspect. Now, I do wish there was a different trait for each tree, but you know, in general, this is going to be something positive since a lot of Vex's damage and everything for like her action skills is kind of like this like monokinetic versus, you know, adding into like, you know, holding a radiation weapon. Now all my companions or like my, you know, incarnate wings are going to be, you know, radiation. So for our first action skill is going to be the Phase Familiar. Now this is going to be you summoning Trouble, that large saber-toothed cat that we end up actually finding out is the name of one of the Gearbox developers' actual cat, which I find hilarious. But Phase Familiar is actually pretty solid. I used Trouble a lot whenever I was playing, and I actually enjoyed it a lot. A great part about Trouble is the fact that you are able to activate this like secondary effect on your action skills now that will kind of do something different. It's going to be kind of like a built-in just kind of buff to it that you're able to do. On this, it says press F to teleport Trouble, dealing damage in an area. Trouble then transforms into a badass, fully restoring health and gaining increased damage for a duration. Activating Phase Familiar will respawn Trouble if currently dead. So in that badass multiplier is a plus 50%. So honestly, that's really great for the fact that you're able to, you know, kind of just like activate your action skill. You know, Trouble will go out there and start hitting some stuff, and if you see a bigger boss, you're able to, you know, point at them. Trouble will teleport there, become a badass, and be able to kind of tank that damage for you. Now, this red tree originally has to do with your minions, some action skills stuff in there, and then it splits off into the three, covering three different things: a little bit of cryo, a little bit of shock, and a little bit of critical hit. And I think we're going to go with the critical hit middle section with that Vorpal Fang. Trouble gains a chance to critically hit with all attacks, and the command skill, whenever you press F to command Trouble, to summon phase daggers overhead that fire at nearby enemies, dealing melee damage on impact. That sounds really freaking sick. The fact that you're already getting that high critical hit chance, and then also you're just getting just like free melee damage, just gonna like track enemies and hit them. That sounds pretty freaking sweet. And we'll cap that off with double Trouble. Trouble now gains a chance to create an illusion near the enemy when dealing damage. Critical hits have double that chance, and illusions become badasses while Phase Familiar is active. This sounds amazing. The fact that essentially you're just getting more, I guess, troubles that are going to be around dealing damage, also having that high critical hit chance, and being able to just, you know, be badasses and kind of tank a bit more damage. It sounds like a really phenomenal combo for this red tree. Next up, we're going to talk about the green tree, and that's going to focus with Incarnate as the action skill. Vex creates a phase explosion, dealing damage to nearby enemies and fully restoring her health. While active, Vex can use Eldritch Blast and gains increased movement speed. Eldritch Blast will fire an Eldritch Blast for her offhand, dealing damage to nearby enemies on impact. Dealing gun damage reduces Eldritch Blast cooldown. This overall kind of reminds me of just like Sunsinger from Destiny, where essentially Vex is becoming a better version of herself, getting that high movement speed, getting that extra damage, all around just kind of focusing on the flow combat you're already doing versus, you know, a companion that you have to focus on. Now, this tree has a lot to do with like status effects of different kinds, having some radiation, having some fire damage in there, but I really like this Augment Energy Vampire. Vex deals status effect damage to nearby enemies over time and gains overshield for each enemy affected. In your kill skill, killing an enemy while Incarnate is active will grant a stack of Energy Vampire, increasing status effect damage. Stacks are lost when Incarnate ends. So all around, just kind of creating this field around you that's just going to constantly damage targets sounds really freaking nice, just because again, it's just going to add to your already natural flow of combat. You're not having to like focus on doing anything to anybody. It's just going to happen. And now we're going to go with Vibe Check for the Capstone. Eldritch Blast is now a charge skill up to 3. Activating Eldritch Blast consumes all charges to ricochet on hitting an enemy for each charge consumed, and Eldritch Blast cooldown reduction is from gun damage is doubled. So this kind of just like feeds into, you know, our build, kind of just like constantly doing better versions of ourselves. Again, at the end of this video, make sure you're checking out these skill trees so that you have a good idea of yourself of what the best combo might be. And for the final skill tree, we're going into the blue tree with Dead Ringer. Charge skill 3, spawn a phase clone minion choosing Spectre or Reaper. Phase clones lose an ever increasing amount of health per second, and their damage type matches Vex's current attunement when spawned. If you spawn, your right click, it's going to spawn a Reaper that taunts enemies and deals melee attack damage. If you click your right click, you're going to spawn a Spectre that deals gun damage and cannot move. So essentially creating one target that everyone's going to focus on, it moves around the battlefield and does damage with melee, and one that's just kind of like a, you know, old Zane turret that's going to stand there and just shoot. Now, Vex's blue tree is going to focus a little bit into some corrosive damage, a little bit of incinerate damage, and using her to obvious clones of herself. But for the augment, I'm going to say Hellish Harvest is going to be a really solid one. It's a minion skill for Reapers that gives them the ability to use Hellish Harvest, dealing melee damage 3 times in a large area around themselves, and they regenerate health for each enemy hit. And Reapers will use Hellish Harvest on spawn, and every 3rd time they use a melee attack. So essentially, you're constantly getting these just like extra melee novas around your Reaper that's going to be going around, which is going to do really well with the capstone we're going to talk about, Grim Reaper. Press and hold F to spawn a Grim Reaper that drains nearby enemies, dealing status effect damage over time and restoring health for each enemy drained. When an enemy dies while they're drained, there's a chance a new Reaper will be spawned. And then obviously you have that Hellish Harvest, probably is going to work for both the Grim Reapers that are on the field, and then you have this constant chance of creating another Grim Reaper. Essentially, you just have that Death Skull from Borderlands 3 constantly going around nuking enemies, which sounds freaking amazing. Now, if I had to pick one of these just kind of like off the rip, I'm probably going to go Incarnate and do all of that status effect damage around myself, but I gotta say, I'm pretty interested in also using that Grim Reaper ability, and also the fact that, you know, Trouble is going to have this insane critical hit chance. It's able to cause an illusion to spawn to also do essentially that same effect as the Grim Reaper, but with Trouble. So again, really going to be heavy on, do you want a companion helping you out, or do you just want to blow stuff up yourself? Again, at the end of this video, we're going to just like have the open-ended, just like me going through all the skill trees and all the skills and everything, so you can look at it yourself. I'm going to probably like have it like slowed down a little bit because I was just kind of rushing through it as fast as I can. I only had about 3 hours to get gameplay. This was kind of like my only chance to check that out. But if you liked what you saw today, again, make sure you're following me here on YouTube and Twitter at Byrdman778. Give a thumbs up on the video. Let me know something you're interested in seeing down below, and then become a member if you really want to continue to help out the channel. But guys, thank you so much. Hope you have a great night, day, whatever it may be.